Okay, guys, Mr. Smith here. I'm in the classroom. Today, I'm shooting this video. I've gone over it a few times trying to decide what's the best way to do this. So I'm going to be going back and forth. The main thing we're going to do is we're going to get the notes done together. We'll do the examples together. Then I'll give you some examples to do on your own. And then we'll have all this done. You need to have all this done, watch the video, have all the notes filled out, and at least tried the examples by Friday when we meet for class. None of this has to be turned in. You just need to do it and try it and get your questions together before we meet on Friday. That's when I'll give us some problems that we'll all do together. All right, so I'm going to quickly switch the camera so I'm looking at today's notes. I've got a little stand I've made here so I can have my hands free. Okay. So if you look in the top right corner of every page, you'll see a page number that's written with black marker. We're working on page 1 and page 2. Page 1 has notes. Page 2 on the back just has examples. So we'll be doing page 1 and page 2 in this video. So our discussion in this video is over fractions and decimals. If you go over here to the far left in this box, which I think I don't, if you go over here to the left, it says converting fractions and decimals, and then down below that, types of decimals. So our discussion is about fractions and decimals, converting, and then the types of conversions you will get. So let's go ahead and get started. You should be reading with me right here at this bullet point. Values can be represented in several ways. For example, a fraction can also be represented or written as a decimal or vice versa. For those of you that don't know what vice versa means, it means you can say this the other way around, that a decimal can be represented or written as a fraction. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to convert fractions to decimals, decimals to fractions. So let's go over the notes. Let's start at this bullet point. I'll read, and then I'll kind of stop and show you when you should be filling in. To convert a fraction to a decimal, divide the numerator, which is the top number, by the denominator, which is the bottom number. So for those of you that don't remember, I wrote this little fraction, n over d, numerator over denominator. That actually means n divided by d. For those of you that don't know, that is actually what a fraction is. It's a division problem. A fraction means the top number divided by the bottom number. Pause for a second and go ahead and make sure you get that written in so that you don't fall behind. When you pause it and have it written in, come on back. If you paused, welcome back. All right, next, we're at our next bullet point. Bullet point number 3, to convert a decimal to a fraction, we're doing this the other way around, you're going to put the decimal you're given over 1, and then you're going to multiply the numerator and denominator both by 10 until there is no longer a decimal in the numerator. Then simplify your fraction. Now, again, I would pause real quick, get this stuff written in, read over it a couple more times. Welcome back if you paused and you got everything filled in so far. So we just talked about how, and I'll show examples of this, and we'll go back to the notes and I'll reread it. Okay, now we're moving down below to types of decimals. Okay? Now, this is only talking about decimal answers. If for some reason that you have a fraction and you convert it into a decimal that eventually stops, we would call it a terminating decimal. Decimal. Terminating decimal. I'll write a little example. Stops means, for instance, one that you may have seen before, 0.25. That stops. There's no more numbers after that. 0.25 is just a decimal answer, so that's an example of terminating. Now, the other example, or the other type, if a fraction converts into a decimal with a repeating block, we call it a repeating decimal. We call it a repeating decimal. I'll just write a little example here. Let's say, for instance, you had a decimal answer that came out to 0.123 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It could happen. You see a repeating block of numbers. It doesn't have to be 3 numbers. It could be 5. It could be 2. It could be 1, as you're going to see. This block of numbers keeps repeating over and over and over. Therefore, this is a repeating decimal. All right, again, I would pause, make sure you have everything written in just like you see it on the screen right now. Welcome back if you paused, okay? Now, I'm going to go up to the board. If you go down to, I'm going to go down here to the bottom, okay? Now, on the board, I'm going to do examples 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you look in our directions, okay, I'm going to do these first. These are our fractions to decimals examples. It says, practice converting the following fractions into decimals, then state what type of decimal it is. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? Then I want you to circle 5 and 6. These are going to be the examples you do for me, that you try for me before Friday, okay? So first thing we're going to do is convert fractions to decimals. I'm going to do these 4 examples. I'm going to switch and go to the camera and go to the board to get my markers together, okay? All right, I've got a reminder up here of how we do, what our steps are to do each one, okay? So if you go to example 1 at the bottom of the page, it wants us to convert the fraction 3/8 into a decimal. All right, the rule says divide the numerator by the denominator, okay? So that's 3 divided by 8. If you do that on the calculator, okay, however you want to do it, if you want to do it longhand, but I would just do it on a calculator, 3 divided by 8, you should get 0.375. Now, that's all you're going to get. There is no repeating pattern. There is not another 375. It's 3 different numbers. It doesn't repeat. It stops right there. So therefore, this is, and you need to write in the box down there, terminating decimal. Okay? Terminating decimal. That's example number 1. If you want to pause and make sure you got it, pause for a second. Welcome back. All right, now I'm going to do example number 2. Number 2. That is 1/16. Okay? That means divide the numerator by the denominator. 1 divided by 16. You can stop real quickly, pause, do that on the calculator. When you come back, that should give you 0.0625 or 625 10,000ths. There is no repeating pattern here. It ends at the 5. It does not start over, okay? Therefore, this is a terminating decimal. All right? If you want to pause this and check it, all right, welcome back. Now I'm on example number 3. Number 3 is 5/6 equals 5 divided by 6, because we divide the numerator by the denominator to get a decimal. If we divide 5